Now let's get some rapid-fire response from our panel on these stories tonight. Nancy Pelosi is telling Republicans to bring it on in November. After House Democrats won their fourth special election in a row, the Speaker says she's sure her party will control the House. The Tea Party crowd was celebrating after its hero Rand Paul won the Republican Senate nomination in Kentucky. Just 2 days later, his campaign is in crisis mode, very reactionary after a disastrous interview with MSNBC's Rachel Maddow. She wasn't disastrous, he was. And a snap poll of Arkansas Democrats shows Lieutenant Governor Bill Halter moving ahead of Senator Blanche Lincoln. It's the first poll ever to show Halter taking the lead. With us tonight, A.B. Stoddard, columnist and associate editor for The Hill, and Susan Molinari, Republican strategist and former congresswoman from New York. All right, this is a lot on the table tonight, and I want to talk about first the Republicans here. Susan, what about Rand Paul? Do the Republicans have to distance themselves from this Tea Party, or what do you think?
Well, I think obviously he stepped in it. This is not a good way to start a political career. He had to backtrack. Hopefully he'll learn his lessons. Look, I think there were some Republicans who even prior to this election tried to distance themselves. He's popular where he is in his state right now. And, you know, he's got some time to try and make this up as best as he can between now and November.
Well, it's not very often a politician puts out two statements in one day on one subject. A.B., what do you make of this guy? Is he in trouble?
Well, I mean, Kentucky is still looking Republican right now. The election is months away. This is going to cost him votes, Ed, for sure. It's hard for purists to be politicians, and he is a purist, and he's admitted it over and over again, not only in the interview with Rachel, but in other interviews, in newspaper interviews. He's really out front about this, and it's going to cost him some votes. If he can stir up and excite his own base and overcome that, maybe he still wins. Let's recall that though he really trounced his opponent the other night with a 60% to 35 win, remember that both top two Democratic vote getters in Kentucky earned more votes than Rand Paul, and so it might be a better turnout Republican on the Republican side percentage-wise, but the Democrats are energizing their base as well, and this is now definitely competitive.
What was he thinking? I mean, Susan, how do you win taking on the Civil Rights Act and saying that the First Amendment rights are impeded by it? I mean, isn't this a strange territory for somebody who wants to represent everybody?
Yes.
Good answer.
I don't know what to say. He is a purist. This is how he believes. He's, you know, obviously drawn a pretty crystal clear line in terms of where he thinks government should participate. I mean, look, I'm just glad, you know, today he woke up and said, this isn't what I meant, and I need to backtrack a little bit.
Nancy Pelosi had this to say about her party keeping the majority in the House. Here it is.
You want to talk politics? You know how reluctant I am to do that, especially after a big, big victory in Pennsylvania. What we learned from this election, and I think hopefully the Republicans saw clearly, is nationalizing the election, talking about Speaker Pelosi and President Obama, was not as appealing to the public there as Mark Critz talking to them about their jobs.
A.B., do the Democrats have new legs? What do you think?
Well, I think it definitely put the brakes on the conventional wisdom, which was that they were sinking in the polls and they were going to possibly lose the House this fall. Is it possible that they still lose the House? Of course it is. But this was the exact type of seat the Republicans need to win 40 of in just a few months. And the fact that this was the only race that pitted a Republican against a Democrat the other night, that they had the money, they had the time, they apparently had the Tea Party, and they didn't even come close. It's a big loss for Republicans for sure.
Susan, your thoughts?
Well, look, I mean, the Democrat that won, I mean, it would be nice for the Republicans to win. The Democrat that won is pro-life, pro-gun, anti-tax, said he's against cap and trade and would have voted against the health care bill. So he's pretty much in the same framework as most Republicans. So I mean, I think 60,000 more Democrats in the congressional district. The district did vote for John McCain last time, but has, you know, voted pretty consistently for Democrat presidents before then. It would have been great for the Republicans to win. We were hoping we could, but I still think that doesn't overshadow the fact that the enthusiasm gap is still with the Republicans. Suburban women, independents are voting for or are tilting towards Republicans, and the generic still has Republicans up by 4 percentage points. That being said, November's a long time away.
All right, but June 8th is not very far away in Arkansas. It's going to be a heck of a runoff between Blanche Lincoln and Bill Halter. And for the first time, Research 2000 poll has got Halter, and the results of last night, he now leads in a poll 48% to 46%. How tough is it going to be at this point, AB, for Blanche Lincoln to win this runoff on June 8th?
You know, if we look at it from tonight, it doesn't look possible. I think she was pleasantly surprised to find that she had won in a lot of urban areas. She was supposed to win the rural counties, and Halter was supposed to do well in the cities, and she actually had some surprising victories in places she didn't expect. But let's look at the fact there's a third-party candidate who garnered 13% of the vote. If the thinking is that those people are going to go to Halter, I don't know how she survives.
What do you think, Susan?
Well, you know, it's going to be an interesting few weeks because you have the labor union saying that just for this runoff, they're going to put about $1.5 million, which, you know, buys a significant amount in Arkansas. So you have the labor unions on one side working for Halter, and then you have President Clinton saying he's going to come in for Senator Lincoln. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to watch. Well,
Susan, you've had to defend your seat in the past in your career. If you were Blanche Lincoln, what would you do?
You know, she's just got to stand up for what she believes in. We've also learned from Senator Specter that when you try and change your explanation for your votes and who you are, that doesn't really help either. I think, you know, Senator Lincoln has an awful lot to say and sell, and that's all she can do for the next few weeks.
AB, is this the people versus the corporations in Arkansas?
No, I think that Blanche Lincoln is having a tough year for many, many reasons. And I think actually her recent amendment to the financial services regulation bill sort of came out of nowhere. And I actually think it's a really anti-incumbent, whatever party you're in, whoever you are, you people in Washington aren't doing it right. You're not solving our problems. Right. And I think she's going to suffer from that.
AB Stoddard, Susan Molinari, great to have you with us tonight.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.